Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. It's Jo here. I hope you're all well. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Jo. I do craft videos as well as Poundland hauls and charity shop finds, and if you're returning, thank you for your continued support and taking the time to come back and watch my next video. So for today's project, I'm upcycling a kit that I picked up in a charity shop for £1. I wanted to make it into a little bit of a home decor piece for my kitchen, so I'm just going to take all the bits out, but I'm going to keep these sections of the wheel just because I'll use them for something else. I like to recycle and don't like throwing stuff away, so they'll come in handy at some point in the future. All I'm going to do now is take all the pieces out of the sheets that they come with, and I'm going to just file down any bits that need filing with a nail file, and then I'll be back. Now that all the pieces are out, I'm going to paint these. So I'm going to start by using a mixture of metallic paint from Poundland in the peacock green, and I've just mixed it with white to get the colour that I wanted, and I'm going to paint the inside and the outside of the wheels, and then to finish them off I'm going to just paint around the edge in black and the inside as well. Then I'm going to paint the other pieces in the same colours, some in black and some in blue, let them dry, and then we can pop it together. So now that everything's dry, I've got the fun task of putting this together. Now, it doesn't come with any instructions in the kit. It actually says on the back of the box to look at the photograph on the cover to get a general idea of where each piece goes. So that's the instructions. So I just had to go off the front picture. So I'm just going to pop this together, and once it's all together, I can start on my next task. So for the front of the tricycle, I wanted to make a little box with some food in, and I'm using some air dry clay for this. This is the first time I've ever made anything using clay or polymer clay or anything like that. So I'm just going to tell you what I did, but I'm sure there's more in-depth, better tutorials on YouTube for doing clay sculpture, but I wanted to make some apples, so I've just rolled them into a small apple shape, and then I'm just using one of my tools to create the top of the apple. And then to finish the apple off, I'm using some wire that I'm just cutting with some wire cutters, and I'm just going to pop that in the top of the apple for the apple stalk. I'm going to make about 6 apples in total, so I'll do the same with each apple and then let them dry overnight. I also wanted to make a block of cheese, so again I'm just taking a little bit of clay and using my fingers to mold it to the shape that I want, and that's pretty much going to be the block of cheese. And then the last thing I wanted to make was some French bread, so I've just rolled them to the size that I want, and I'm just adding a little bit of detail with one of my tools. And then to finish off, I'm just going to make some slits in the top using another tool, and then these are all ready to dry, and then we can paint them. So while the clay is drying, I want to make some little food sacks for the back of the tricycle, and I'm using a pair of socks that I got from a charity shop that I paid 20p for. I used one of these in my steampunk balloon and made some sacks for that, so I'm going to use this other one, and I'm just going to cut it down to the size that I want. I want about 2 sacks, so I'm just folding the fabric and cutting it where required. And then once I've got the size of the 2 sacks, I'm going to pop them facing the right side, facing inwards, so that we can turn them the right way once I've stitched them. And I'm just going to stitch down the sides, leaving the top section free so that we can turn them inside out, and then they'll be the correct way. So before I fill the sacks and tie the tops, I want to write on the front of each of the sack. On one, I'm going to put the word flour, and on the other, I'm going to put the word potatoes. Just using white acrylic paint and a thin brush to do this. I'm going to go over it a couple of times and then let it dry. So now that the sacks are drying, I can start to paint the food. So for the apples, I'm just doing a basic green colour, and I'm just going to coat the whole outside. Then for the cheese, I'm using a yellow acrylic paint, and again, I'm just going to coat all around the surface. For the bread, I'm using a brown acrylic paint that I've mixed with white to get a lighter brown, and I'm just going to cover the whole surface with this and let it dry. And then to finish the apples, I'm using a little bit of dark brown acrylic paint, and I'm going to paint over the wire at the top of the apple to create the stalk. And then to finish off the bread, once the first layer is dry, I use dark acrylic brown paint mixed with water to create a wash, and I'm just brushing that over the top. While the food's drying, I'm going to fill the sacks with some stuffing, and then using some cotton and a needle, I'm going to sew the top of the sack how I want it to look, and then finish it off by wrapping some embroidery thread around the top and tying it in a knot. So I wanted to create two boxes, one for the front of the bike and one for the back, and I've just measured this out on an old food packet, and the size is 4 centimeters long by 2.5 centimeters wide, and it's 1.5 centimeters high. So I've just cut them out, and then I'm just using my hot glue gun to stick them together. I'm then going to paint the inside in a brown acrylic paint and let them dry. So I don't know what happened to this part of the video, but it seems to have disappeared off my phone when I started to edit. But what I've done is I've just added some paper flowers that I picked up from a charity shop into one of the cardboard boxes that I made. And then in the other box, I added the food bits that I made from clay. And then at the back of the bike, I've added a little bit of ladder that I had left over from when I made my steampunk balloon. It's made from wooden skewers and matchsticks. And then I also had a crate left over from, again, my steampunk balloon, and I'm going to add some flowers into this and attach it to the front of the tricycle, and that's just made from craft sticks or wooden stirrers. And then the last thing to do is to add the sacks to the back of the tricycle, and then it's finished. And here are some pictures of what it looks like. So I'm really happy with how it turned out. I think it looks super cute and it'll look really nice in my kitchen once I get my shelves up. But I'm glad that I gave using clay a go, and it was just a nice little project to have a little dabble with some clay. I am going to be doing a lot more clay things in the future, especially on my garden diorama. I'm going to be using a lot of clay for that. So I'm glad that I gave it a go, and it was a new thing for me to try. And yeah, I'm just really happy with how it turned out. I love the flowers on it. I love the colours that I picked, and I think the sacks look really cute as well. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video, guys. I hope it's giving you some ideas, and I will be back on Monday. I think I'm going to do something using recycling card. I've got a feeling I'm going to be doing that over the weekend. So I will see you on Monday. Have a wonderful weekend. Take care, and I'll see you then. Bye for now.